just patterns of behavior. My own patterns is like, what do I fucking like to do? And what do I like to give the viewer? And what do I like to give myself as challenges? And I realized I will operate this way. So for example, when I'm making a painting, the happiest I am is when the painting's falling apart. Meaning everything's going wrong and nothing's working. Because the moment when you figure out and solve the problem, that's the adrenaline rush. It's like, boom, I slammed that color into a certain location, and then the whole painting is like pulling together when it was falling apart at the seams.
Justified a mere enhancement of the sexual delights he has known. But too late, he realizes that the monstrous beings from this other dimension, the Cenobites, understand pleasure in ways completely alien to humans.
I realized that the internet does not work for me, you know? I need books. I need all kinds of reference books. And then also, any reference doesn't do. It has to be my own thing. It can't be like through a certain canon of accepted or acceptable images. It's like, what am I referencing? I'm looking at certain comic books about like cowboys and shit, or like John Ford movies, which are also influenced by like Civil War imagery. I'm looking at Civil War imagery. I'm looking at certain painters like El Greco or Caravaggio, or I'm looking at certain kinds of Victorian illustrators like Edmund Dulac. Like all my particular imagery. Like I'm looking at sci-fi book covers. Like, but I needed an archive exactly of those things. Because I was figuring out studio problems, basically. Like, how do I have roadblocks? What do I need to make my work? I couldn't make my work out of space. I could never do that because the drips would never happen, you know? Because gravity becomes a component of it, you know?
Oh, you also make Candyman, by the way.
So, it was just important to be on my own, to be like, if I'm going to go to an art show, it's of my own deliberate choice. It's not because this is what people are talking about in the schools, because I'm just curious and something is drawing me to it myself. So I went to the Catherine Bradford Fear of Waves show. I remember going to that. I went to, what was it? The New Museum show. It was Chris O'Feely. It was a show he did in the New Museum. That's when I got back into figuration from that point. But like, just seeing those two shows, being on my own, like, those are kind of the forming moments for me. And also having the criticality of the school, you know, like the actual conversation there, but like using it as a tool more so than like a system of validation for myself, but like as a tool to work through studio problems on my own.
Hear the people in being together, just to hold together as organisms, we would probably lose our minds, you know. And I'm struck by the shamelessly purple and beautiful and decadent prose, and yet hugely consumed and loved by people because they represent some kind of compromised solution to a real longing, and despite their popularity are still deeply stigmatized. I like that term, but re-enchant the world outside of you by overlaying how it could be horrific. I'm actually going to show you how horrifying your inner world is. And that's why the Cenobites or Candyman are singularly scary, and they're memorable villains in a way that the villains in Stephen King's books are not.
Abstraction was starting to get a bit unnatural because it started to be like, you know, within the values of the school. I mean, and this, again, not a critique of the school, because the school does not prescribe this, but I'm talking about the social pressure. There was a simplistic thing that painting was borderline not even acceptable at that time I was at Cooper. And then there was really like, within the parameters of abstraction, that the paintings would be taken seriously. It was it's kind of corny to have like a visible and representational image, or like you're putting something out there, like, you know, not like doing a performance where you're rolling in glass or something, but it's a kind of confessional quality to a representational picture. And you know, you want it to be cool, kind of, you know, you didn't want to be corny or cringe. So I was like, but you know, I think that I had a classmate, You know, I say he was just a pretty cool guy. He was like, you know, your paintings, I could just see that this guy wants to paint figures and spaces so badly, and its environment doesn't like encourage that, like somehow, and it's not like deliberate. But you know, he was graduating the year before me. He just said that. I was like, oh, I appreciate it, honestly. It was just more like, you know, being like, I'm not gonna fucking be in this school anymore. Fuck it, I'm doing my own thing. That's where this guy was coming from. And you clearly have this desire to operate in the space of figuration, but you also love paint, and you can have both. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can like mix it together, and one shouldn't be to the exclusion of the other, right? You know, your desire for narrative and imagery and fantasy and all this stuff, but also your desire for like just the generosity of paint and abstraction and color field and all that stuff. There's something in me that just gets a kick out of just slaughtering a painting. Like, it was just like, all right, you know, I'm just like, I built up this image. Now I'm just gonna put this entire wash over the thing, and the image just disappears. So I was like, you know, that I love kind of gambling with the painting, to be like, oh, that was the thing I'm investing in so much energy and time. I just reset it in a certain way. But you know, I also realized I needed practical ways to get the image back. So I started making small studies and like charcoal and line drawings to project onto the surface again. Like, you know, still my hand and everything, not like a completely sourced image, but like, because they'd be like, this veil of color would just wash out the image initially. So then I turn the lights off, turn the projector on, redraw the projected image. All right, yeah, that looks real. Not bad. You see what I mean? Like you see how the paint takes to the surface way differently over here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the shit I'm living for, you know? Honestly, the palette knife has been a hero lately. And so I was like, oh, so I watched this movie Fresh. Just weird things that are actually really, and I don't mean authentic to me necessarily as a black man, but authentic to me as a black man who has lived in Philly with like a big sister. Like, what did I do? Like, we watched Candyman. Like, that was a scary ass fucking movie to me. Like, we watched all four of those motherfucking movies, and then we watched Leprechaun in the Hood. Like, just, you know, weird movies like that. Like stuff like that. And then like I started like kind of just unpacking. Like, it was like, oh, these are my references. This is and I did not mind if it was incredibly opaque, you know, because I knew it was true to me. I knew there was a kind of efficacy to those images. That I was still thinking about them. I remember, you ever see this movie called Tales from the Hood?
Well, it's like Tales from the Hood.
Yeah. So Tales from the Hood. Early religious imagery, you know, the plot twist is the crypt keeper is actually the devil, and they've been dead the whole time. So I saw that, and I saw The Wiz, you know, like all these kinds of. I just realized I was just drawing a dreamy narrative.
Fucking hipsters.